Good morning and welcome to AM Excellence 65. Put in the time. It is Saturday morning, October 22nd, 6:31 in the AM. Starting a little bit later today because it is Saturday morning, and if you guys want to sleep in a little bit, sleep in a little bit. Tomorrow is my day to sleep in, so I will be on a little bit later tomorrow. On Sunday, I'll post that as we get there. As we get closer to tomorrow. The book I'm reading, the book that we're reading, that we're learning from, is called Above the Line, Lessons in Leadership and Life from a Championship Season, written by Urban Meyer, esteemed college football coach. Now, to bring us up to speed, because there's so much valuable information in this book, and as I had said before in some of my previous videos, the way I judge a book is if I take something life-changing from it. If I take just a soundbite, a sentence, a philosophy, a strategy, something that I retain that then dramatically, significantly impacts my life moving forward. And there's so many things in this book, and a lot of it's bulletized, and a lot of it is different systems, because he's very systematic. So I want to take a minute. I'm going to put myself on the spot. I haven't written notes down, but I want to rehash everything that we've been learning to this point. So Urban Meyer talks about this idea of being above the line behavior, below the line behavior. Above the line is going to take you towards your goals. Below the line is going to take you away from your goals. The way he categorizes above the line behavior to keep yourself on target, on track, to see, hey, am I living life the right way, to pursue my goals. So above the line behavior is intentional. It is skillful. It is on purpose. Intentional, skillful, on purpose. Below the line behavior is on autopilot, resistant, and impulsive. On autopilot, resistant, impulsive. So that's above the line and below the line. He also goes on to mention this equation, this simple math equation that says, he places importance, and many people do, they place importance on the way you react to certain situations. All right, not what happens to you, but how you react to those things. He says E plus R equals O. Event plus response equals your outcome. So something happens to you, how do you respond to that? So that's another math equation, and then that will equal the outcome. He does get in detail there, but I'll kind of leave that right there. And then lastly, the thing that we talked about yesterday, which was one of the most popular videos and something that 100% I will implement in my life, both on a personal level and a professional level, is how to build trust. So trust is at the foundation of interpersonal relationships. In our lives, our world is about, hello Derek, our lives, our world is about interpersonal relationships. How do you interact with the people around you to produce a win-win situation for everyone involved? It's not manipulation. Jocko Willink, he led an awesome discussion on this idea about manipulation, trying to get what you want. Well, in essence, when we interact with people, we are trying to get what we want. But the key, the factor, the most important part of that equation is that you're doing it with integrity. You're doing it with purity. You're doing it to create a win-win situation. Not just for your own good, but for the good of both people involved. Read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Absolutely amazing book on how to interact with people. Now, I actually lost track of what I was saying, so I'll move on to the next thing. But developing relationships, how we interact, developing trust, and that's it. And he says there's 3 ways that you can develop trust. He says that he breaks it down into 3 categories. The way you can develop trust with your team, your family, your colleagues, the people in your neighborhood, he breaks it down into 3 categories. Super valuable. Character is what you're saying. Does what you say align with what you do? Are you a man or a woman or a young person of character? Do your values match up? Yeah, it is a great book, Luke. Does what you're saying match what you're doing? Are you in alignment? Do you live by your values? So the first category to build trust is character. The second one is competence. Why should I trust you? What have you done that tells me I should listen to you? So many people out there in this world are experts, especially with social media, but look at their resume. It's not hard. Google them, search them, go to their website, look at their reviews, read about them. I encourage you to do that for me. If you don't buy me, if you don't resonate with me, look up my history and you'll see for yourself. There is substance, there is competence. The second the second element. And then the last one is the most basic, and this is what we're talking about relationships, is this idea of connection. Are you sincere in your interaction with other people? Are you being real? Are you focused on them? Are you listening to them? Are you truly caring about them? Or are you looking over there? Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yep, absolutely. Yep, sure. And I know I've been guilty of that in the past. It's something that I'm working on, especially with my kids, because that's, what more important relationship is there than that of your children. So that's just a little bit of a recap as to where we're at right now. Go back, watch the last 3 minutes to get that recap again, because it's super valuable information. Now, the first thing I want to start with, so Urban Meyer is, a very extremely successful football coach. He's coached at Florida, Ohio State, various other places. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he's been at the top. He knows what it takes to get to the top. And one of the things that I place so much value on that is oftentimes hard to put in a concrete example is this value of intentional, in-depth discussion. And yesterday I put out a video and some information about discussions that I hope to lead, that my goal is to lead, because I see the value in mentioning a topic, something like how to build trust, something like how to develop relationships, right? And then having an in-depth discussion on that. Now, Urban Meyer reiterated the importance of that fact. He says, so they held workshops for their players, and he says, every week for 6 weeks we met as a team, heard briefly from the coach about one of the elements of trust, and watched a video that illustrated that principle. So for example, if I were to do a workshop, that's what we would do. I would bring up a topic, watch a video, lead a discussion. Okay, that's the warm-up. He says, and this is what I encourage every one of you to implement into your lives. He says, the team meetings were helpful, but the high-impact lessons on how to build trust took place following the team meeting when the players went back to their respective unit rooms. Each unit leader led his guys through an in-depth discussion of the trust principle for that week. An in-depth discussion of a trust principle for that week. These AM Excellence videos are that warm-up. They are to hear briefly about a topic, to hear me discuss it, to watch a video that you're watching right now, but the next level value is in that in-depth discussion. And I'm going to post after this a sign up where you can partake in those discussions, but that's the true value. And it's not just me. If you don't believe me, believe Urban Meyer when he says, but the high impact lessons on how the players to build trust took place following the meeting when the players went back to their respective team unit. Each leader led his guys to an in-depth discussion of that trust principles. It's great to watch these videos. It's awesome. It's super helpful. I encourage you to do it every single morning. But go beyond that. Whether it's me with the AM Excellence Roundtable videos or whether it's with the coaches in your department or the teachers in your department, raise these topics, discuss them, because it's going to make you realize who the heck you are. In the last book we covered, Relentless, From Good to Great to Unstoppable, author Tim Grover, talks about the importance of your gut, knowing who you are. Well, by pondering, by processing these concepts and these topics, you're going to find out who the heck you are and what the heck you stand for. So whether it's through the AMX roundtables here with me or somewhere else, get involved in those discussions. Whew. So the title of this video is called Put in the Time. And Urban Meyer talks about this idea of putting in the time, and it touches on his last way to build trust, the connection. So let's talk about building relationships. The way that you build sincere relationships is by putting in the time. And I'm not saying putting in the time in a negative sense. It means spending sincere, quality time with the people with whom you want to build this relationship. Okay, that idea of putting in the time, sincere quality time, that deals with relationships. That deals also, and this is where, if you don't have kids, you're not in a relationship, think of it this way. To develop a great relationship, You have to spend quality time. You have to put in the work, period. There's no fast tracking. You can't be the father who comes in town for the weekend and spends a great weekend with your son or daughter, brings them to the Pirates game and gives them a meal at Permani's. Western PA people, you'll appreciate those references. You can't be that guy. You got to be the guy who gets up early in the morning, who eats breakfast with your daughter, who walks them to school, who talks to them after school, who does their homework. That's putting in the time, right? That's earning that relationship. Think of it from a goal perspective. Your goals, you can't fast track accomplishing a goal. If your goal is to lose weight because you're really overweight, you can't hop on a fad diet. It'll work temporarily. Your kid will think you're the bomb that weekend, but when you're not there the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, they're going to realize, hey, something's missing here. Goals. You want to lose weight? You hop on a fad diet? Yeah, you're going to get the numbers you want right away. But guess what? Those numbers are going to crash and burn because there's no authenticity. There's no real connection. You're not putting in the time. I work with 2 people specifically in strength and conditioning. Actually, it's mental toughness, but through strength and conditioning. One of them wanted to lose weight. He's down over 80 pounds this year from January 1st. He is putting in the time. He's tempted to do the fad diets, but he doesn't because he trusts me, because we have developed trust through, number 1, through the skipping my mind right now. Number 2, through the competence, the character. Yeah, because this guy trusts my character because of my past. He knows my competence because of my experience, and he also values the connection that we made. So we have developed a trust for him to believe in the process. So you've got to put in the time to earn that right, to earn that ability, to develop that trust, and or the other side of it, pursue those goals. It's the only way it's going to work. I was recently emailing back and forth with Joe DeSena. Joe DeSena is the founder of Spartan Race, a very influential, powerful guy with whom I'm very fortunate to build a relationship with. And I asked him, I said, Joe, it's what I'm doing is very difficult. I'm helping a lot of people. It's building. It's great. But this is my life, and this is how I have to provide for my family, and it's an uphill battle. And he said, look, I've done this 3 times, and each time it's been 5 to 6 years of swimming against the current, of putting in the work with no return. Buckle up. He wrote, it was 1,000 shovels a day with no return. So the work, there's no way around it. Moving on. So this is something that's extremely important when you're, either way, if you're involved in something, learning a skill, whether it's something so simple as podcasting. I know there's a podcaster, I know there's a teacher listening. You're in this skill. You're in this pursuit, right? Whether you're at the beginning of that pursuit or whether you're in the middle of it. Okay? Urban Meyer says something really important. He's referring to his players, and he's referring to how he teaches his players. And he says this, he says, once we got them proficient enough to own their position, they could begin to master it. Once we got them proficient enough to own their position, they could begin to master it. You can't walk into a classroom on day 1 and expect to be the best teacher. You can't pick up a mic and hit record on day 1 and expect to be the best podcaster in the country. It's not possible. It's not going to happen. I didn't walk into fighting thinking I was a great fighter. The moral of the story is humility. Accept that you don't know everything. Accept you don't know everything. And it's a tough thing because for many, 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 many years, I walked around thinking I knew everything. In my career, I thought I knew what I needed to do. But I learned later I didn't. So when you let down that guard and be open, and it's not stinking easy. We're all human. We all falter. But let down that guard. Assume that humility. When I was a kid, one of the most valuable things, people ask me all the time, one of the most valuable things you've ever heard, is my father, when I was a kid, said, don't go around telling people how good you are. Let them tell you. Accept that humility. And once you gain enough skill to be competent, Only then can you begin to master it. Again, put in the time. Do the work. You can't you can't start a marathon on mile 25. You've got to start a marathon on mile on mile 0. So I hope you guys appreciated today the idea of this hard work, the idea of putting in the time, the idea of purity, authenticity, not fast tracking. Thank you, Kevin, for the book reference. I had a comment referring to Driven, My Unlikely Journey from Classroom to Cage. But you can't fast track. You've got to put in the time, put in the quality, sincere time, whether it's building a relationship, whether it's building trust with your son or daughter. My son is like 6 weeks old. I'm starting now. My daughter's 3. She knows, hey, dad's here, dad's not here. They know. Professionally, develop that trust with your department, with your teachers. I know there's an experienced teacher watching here. The people under you, the teachers on day one, you know, what relationship, what trust are you building on a daily basis? And like I said, it's not easy. I'm human. I falter. We all do. But it's that pursuit that is the most important. Now, as I started off this video, I started mentioning these in-depth discussions, and I want to bring you guys, make you aware of something that I'm excited about. We'll see if it works or it doesn't. But as I mentioned, and as Urban Meyer mentioned, the power of these in-depth discussions of these topics: how to build trust, how to develop relationships, why hard work is important, how to create your vision, topics like this. If you're interested in joining one of those in-depth discussions where it's interactive, not me just talking to you, but where you're talking to me, talking to him, it would be a virtual format. But if you are interested in that, I'm going to include a sign-up form with this post. Simply click on the link, input your name and your email, and gauging the response, gauging the interest in it, one way or another, I will respond to you with the next step. But again, it's going to be I'm calling it a roundtable discussion, where we're basically all sitting around a virtual table, diving deep into these concepts, applying them to your life, offering insight, how we can help other people involved. Thank you very much for watching. It's now 6:48. Have yourselves a great Saturday. Carpe diem. Fight well.